Hey everybody, this is Drake with TBBAT's Coffee Break with Drake. This review will be another one of my Aero Coffee Roaster purchases. As you may have seen my previous episode, probably aired last week, I went and bought way too much Aero coffee. But when you find a good coffee roaster that's close to you, you want to take advantage of it. Anyway, this one here is very special. We'll go into how special it is in just a minute. But so you know, this is Columbia Bados. This is the white honey processed coffee. What does all that even mean? Stick around and find out. I'm not gonna lie to you, when I went in there and saw this, it took me a couple of times. I was like, what honey? White honey? I didn't even know what that was. But I do know that I've enjoyed the complexity of the honey processed coffees in the past and thought, let's find out together. What is white honey processing? And we'll get into that in just a second. But let's go over the specs on this and what it says on here. It says Columbia Bados white honey coffee, bright and full of flavor with notes of rose hips, hibiscus tea, and green apple. What? So, as I discussed last week, sometimes these light roast coffees even border on tea flavoring. This is one of them, or it should be. 12 ounces, obviously a light roast profile. I won't go into that too much as I talk about it all the time. With these expensive coffees, you want to get a light roast to enjoy the flavoring, and white honey process. Okay, so if you've been watching me, you know that there's three main types of processing when it comes to coffee, and this does have an effect on the actual flavor. There's the natural process, the wet process, and they do go by other names too, and the honey process. Well, the honey process, the down and dirty version, as I've already explained, is they do leave some of the pulp and the mucilage on when they dry. The beans absorb some of that flavor, and it comes out in the actual coffee after it's been roasted. You can smell it's a little bit different, and the taste, it adds a wild kind of taste to it. Very interesting. You're getting more of the cherry flavoring. Well, it turns out white honey processing is obviously an offshoot of honey processing, where they just leave a very thin layer of the mucilage on the beans when they dry it. So what I'm expecting from this is to be more of a natural processed coffee with just a touch of the honey process, since it's a much lighter amount of mucilage left on. So let's find out together if that's true. All in all, this is supposed to taste like a tea, which is pretty interesting to me. Anyway, on another note, before we go any further, when it comes to adding milk, cream, sugar, honey, and stuff like that, it dawns on me that you probably don't want to do that with light roast coffees. I mean, if you go into a Dunk's or Cumberland Farms or whatever, it doesn't matter. But if you're spending all this money, you don't want to kill the flavoring by adding cream and sugar. But when you get to those light roast flavors, a lot of them come to sour or, whatever. And you're not going to want to add milk to that or cream to that. It's going to, can you imagine something that tastes like grapefruit and then you add milk to it or cream to it? So it just dawned on me, like, maybe that's why you shouldn't, you don't want, I haven't to this day, and I probably don't want to experiment with that. Maybe with a light tea one here, it's a little bit better. Now, this actually doesn't smell like I expect. It actually has like a little bit more towards the medium roast smell. There's not a lot of light complexities. I don't smell a lot of fruitiness. I don't smell hibiscus or whatever. Smells almost a little bit spicy, like the Excelsa coffee. So we're going to ground this up. All right. Let's see if that helped with the smell. It usually does. There it is. Yeah, so this definitely smells a lot lighter. Much more like tea than coffee. Or I'd say equal amounts tea and coffee. Very interesting. Now, if you are a regular viewer, you're going to hear a lot of me repeating myself on a lot of things. Because I think that they're important, and not every single person, although I wish you would, not everyone watches all of my episodes. So when I make a comment about this, that, or the other thing, if you're a regular viewer, you've probably heard it before. But if you're a new person, it might be new information to you. So that being said, we're going to pop this back into my Hamilton Flex Brew. I always kind of talk about it because I want their endorsement, guys. Because really, it is one of the best, fastest, and easiest types of coffee brewers for a person that's just one person drinking coffee in the house. You get the K-cup adapter, and you can get just the coffee cup adapter like I just put in there. There are other versions besides Hamilton Flex Brew. However, this is the only one that I found that had the coffee basket, not just the K-cup. And it was like 50, 60 bucks. So well worth it. All right, let's get back into this. So Aero Coffee Roasters. This here was, interestingly enough, $20 for the 12 ounces. So $20 for this is not bad, believe it or not. It's $1.67 per ounce. Why is that not bad, even though that is on the expensive side? It's because the honey process is a lot harder to do. It takes more time. It's more of a pain in the neck. You're already talking about a specialty coffee from South America, from Columbia. This is from a specific region, typically, and they cost more money. The beans cost more money to get than the roasting costs and all that other stuff. And so it's $20 is not bad. The one I did last week was $24. It was just a light roast coffee, but it was from Thailand. So shipping costs and all those things do factor in. And if you've been following the coffee news in 2025 for various reasons, coffee prices with Arabica and Robusta, but specifically Arabica, have gone up. I believe this coffee here might have gone up from about $16, $17 last year if it was out last year to about $20 this year, which isn't too bad relatively speaking. It's still expensive. Every single different type that they do there has a different set cost to begin with, but now everything's just going up in price, which is interesting and sad, and also why you should watch my reviews on the Excelsa coffee beans. They are drought resistant, and they're a whole different type of bean. So we're gonna let this brew and be right back with you. All right, so now that this is done, we're gonna give it a little snifferoo here. Yep, got some light fruity tones, got some tea sensations going on there. It's a little bit darker than I expected, but very interesting smell. This is very different so far than my other coffees that I've had. As I've mentioned in some of my previous ones, I recently learned that with light roast coffees, you do need to let it sit a little bit. Don't drink it right off the bat. I made that mistake in some of my previous episodes, in all my previous episodes, basically, up until recently. You let it sit a little bit. I did not know this, and I don't think anyone online has ever mentioned it, but I happened to find out by accident. You let it sit a little bit, let it get a little bit cooler, just a little bit, and some of the more light notes come out. So while that occurs, my regular viewers know I came back from Southeast Asia recently, and I did coffee tours. I did coffee tours in Thailand, I did one in Bali, and I did one in Cambodia, and I had a blast. Absolutely love it. Southeast Asian coffee is very good. Bali coffee is very strong coffee. And they have the Kopi Luwak down there, which was very interesting coffee too. Then Cambodian coffee, it's hard to get a beat on that because they tend to roast it medium to dark roast, which is not my favorite. I was not able to really get any that was light roast. And then Thailand coffee by far was my favorite. So the reason I mention this is this one here is from Colombia. I would love to do a South American coffee tour. More than likely that is in the cards in the near future. Obviously I'd like to get a little bit more traffic and views on my channel before I dedicate full trips to going to places to do coffee tours. The reason why I go to Southeast Asia is because my fiance is from Cambodia. We're working on getting her over here. But once she's back here, which hopefully will be in the next month or two, and we start planning our vacations, we might go other locations. So South America is definitely on the boards for coffee tours. But help me out. Watch, like, subscribe. Get your other friends that are into coffee into this. Or, hey, here's something even better. If you don't like me, if you say, oh God, why am I watching him? Or You're going to hate him. Tell me why. Let me know in the comments, and maybe if I agree, I will make an adjustment here and there. All right, here we go. Let's give it a shot. It's been cooled down just a little bit. Let's see. Now we're looking for, again, hibiscus, rose hips, and green apple. It's quite a combination. Wow. This does not taste like coffee. I mean, it barely tastes like coffee. It definitely tastes like a very strong tea. That is really interesting. Wow. Yeah. Okay. I can see, I can taste some of that stuff. I don't know about green apple. That I don't quite pick up. Let's see. Maybe. One more. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Another thing I noticed with light roast coffees too is give yourself a few sips, like a few good sips. You'll pick up more the more you drink of it. That last one, I definitely did get some green apple notes in there. Very interesting. So, whew, this is cool, man. I like it. It is not your average coffee, and it's definitely a combination. I definitely recognize, even though Chiang Rai, even though I did reviews on Chiang Rai and Chiang Mai coffee, and they tasted different. You could taste some similarities. I have tasted Colombian coffee before, and I think I noticed some similarities. However, the fact that this is light roast and white honey processed definitely changes it up a lot. So highly recommend it. As I stated before, if you get to go to Aero Coffee Roasters, give them a shot. Check this out. They rotate their coffee all the time. They might not even have this. But what you're looking for is a Colombian coffee with a light roast profile, white honey process, and highly recommend it for the unique coffee flavor, not for your regular coffee drinkers. If you want a little bit of adventure, a little bit more of an expense, but definitely worth it. Hope that's been helpful. I'm definitely going to finish this one off. I don't always finish them off after my reviews because I tend to do more than one review in the same day, and I am wired for the rest of the day, but this guy's going to get drunk. Anyway, Drake, TBBAT's Coffee Break with Drake. See you in the next one, and hope everything's going well in your life. If not, try some coffee. Bye.